Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. I'm here to talk to you about Knock at the Cabin. Um, where's the slip? Here's a slip. Knock at the Cabin. Movie by M. Night Shyamalan. Came out earlier this year. I didn't realize it came out this year. I thought it came out last year. So it's another one that I have to review, and is the reason why I'm probably not going to do a review series on this on Shyamalan because I had to get this done now. But the plot revolves around four strangers who arrive at this cabin to confront this family and tell them that the apocalypse is going to happen if one of them does not sacrifice themselves. That's the plot. You think, okay, what can they do with this plot? But surprisingly, they do a lot of things with this plot. And I was surprised how much I actually liked this movie, as I thought this was going to be on my list of worst films, and it's not that. The only thing I did not like is the ending. Not only is there not a twist in this movie, I felt like the wrong character died. And I'll explain that. But the cast in this is really good. You have Jonathan Groff, who I know from Glee, and will be appearing on Doctor Who. Bautista, Rupert Grint, Ronald Weasley in this. And, a cabin in a wood setting is always going to be good for me because, I'm an Evil Dead fan and I like movies with cabins in the wood. Cabin in the Woods is a good movie. So, they subverted that. But, so I like that. I like it. Secluded horror film, middle of nowhere, not really anywhere to go, sort of situation. And when this movie starts, it's actually kind of creepy. There's a little girl, we find out her name is Wen, right? And she's catching caterpillars. And then you see Bautista come in, and he's talking to her. And he's so matter of fact about his talking that it's kind of creepy. Hello. My name is Leonard. What is your name? My friends call me, but everyone calls me Wen. Hello, Wen. What are you doing? I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Oh, that is good. Perhaps we can be friends, and we will not be strangers. See how that's how he talks throughout the entire film. It's almost like Drax, but not stupid. That kind of, he's Drax, but a smart Drax. He's educated. We find out later he's a teacher. And it's very creepy, and it comes off kind of, and it freaks her out. She runs to her parents. We find out, are two guys? No, that does not make this movie woke. That makes this movie modern. Okay, that was another thing when this came out. People were like, oh, same-sex couple. This movie's woke. It sucks. It's terrible. You can't dismiss a movie for that, okay? You're going to have a lot of things. You're going to have movies with same-sex couples. You're going to have movies with strong female leads. It's going to happen. You cannot hate every single movie that has that, because if you do that, you're being a bigot for the sake of being a bigot if you hate every single thing that has that premise. Oh, two gay guys as the leads? Nope. Hate it. Oh, strong female character? Nope. Fuck that. You have to accept this. This is the world. Okay? There are same-sex couples. There are strong female leads in movies. Is there an overabundance of them in film and TV? Yes. But do I think they need to get rid of it? No. I think they need to, maybe not every show and movie needs to have them, but it's not a bad thing. And it helps that one of them is Jonathan Groff. The other one, of course it's not in the back of this, is a decent actor. He's good in the role. These four people come to the cabin, they come in, they end up breaking in, and they tell them, like I said, one of you has to sacrifice themselves, and because the apocalypse is coming. And of course, they don't believe them. And it all starts with Rupert Grint's character, Redmond, who I guess is a guy who attacked Andrew. The guys' names are Andrew and Eric. Attacked Andrew in a bar, went off on him. They needlessly put these flashbacks in because it was very jarring because they're knocked out, and then Eric gets knocked out, and then we suddenly have a flashback of them talking or something. And I'm just like, really, we're doing this thing. Do we really need to throw in these flashbacks? And no, you could have taken them out and it would be fine. It's all to kind of set up character stuff. It shows how they adopted when, which by the way, they lied to this. They lied to this adoption agency just to get, so they can adopt a child, which I don't think you need to do. Because in this day and age, I think they allow that. You know, but maybe this one wasn't as open. I don't know. Andrew's attacked in the bar, like I said. When they're talking back and forth, there's a couple other scenes that are just there. There's one where they're driving up to the cabin, which could have been the first scene of the movie, but it's in the middle of the freaking movie. And that only leads to the end of the movie because they had the song Boogie Shoes by KC and the Sunshine Band. And that plays at the end of the film. So, it's a callback. But yeah. So, this whole thing is kicked off when Rupert Grint is killed. And then they show something on the news happening. There's earthquakes and tsunamis all around the world. And so they explain, they do talk, you know, about who they are. Leonard is a teacher, he teaches students, no thing. Sabrina is a nurse, and she wants to help Eric, who has a concussion. You have Adrian, who has a son. I don't remember what her job is, but she has a son and she doesn't want to die. And Redmond is a gas man, so he's the least of the ones that we should care about, especially when we find out he is the one who attacked Andrew. But the way they reveal it, just with a license at the end of the movie, is that, oh, it was him. Because they show the guy in flashback where he's like a severely bearded up, hat down version. You could probably tell it's Rupert Grint, but and I gotta hand it to Rupert Grint's American accent in this. You know, if you heard him without seeing his face, you couldn't tell it was Ron Weasley. No, although he does dip into his accent a little bit, it happens. Next to go is Adrian, who tries to plead with them, telling her about their son, but Andrew, of course, doesn't believe them, so she dies. And that's my issue with this. Andrew comes off as an asshole, right? He doesn't believe any of the stuff. They keep showing the stuff. He keeps telling them, no, they're wearing watches. They knew their cell phones wouldn't work up here. They're wearing watches. They know when the things are going to air on TV. It's pre-aired programming. They know when stuff's going to show on. It's all a hoax. And they keep trying to tell them, no, we have visions. No, you met on a website. You talked about stuff. You think you're having visions. It's a mass illusion or whatever it's called. And I never wanted to see a character die more than Andrew in this movie. And I thought that's what they were leading up to. He's always negating this. The more he says no, the worse things are getting. And I was for sure thought it was going to end with Eric shooting him as the sacrifice. Now I know the rules say it has to be willing, but the ending we get is not even the ending from the book. I'll talk about that because I looked it up. And they could have worked with that. I felt like saying it has to be willing. Especially with the ending they went with. And with the ending from the book, it adds something to the ending of this, which is probably why Shyamalan changed it to this ending. But the one in the book, it doesn't add to anything. to one thing, but I'm glad they didn't go that route there. But to me, you take out it has to be willing, because it's a murder either way you look at it. One of you has to murder the other. Boom. Get it to the point where Andrew has gone too far. The world is ending and he still refuses to believe it. So Eric is forced to shoot him. And he takes Gwen and leaves. And we see that everything is subsided. That is a happy ending for me. But that's not what happens. They concoct this plan where Andrew and them, get loose from their bindings because they're tied up. And he runs that. Well, no, he doesn't run. He walks very slowly out to the car to get the weapon that they have. Or something. He says they have a gun in the trunk. So he goes to the front door, of course. I'm like, what are you doing? He said it was in the trunk. And then he's confronted by Sabrina, who I thought was Lashana Lynch at first, but it's not. Could have been. She probably would have been better. Who knows? But this leads to a scuffle where she dies. Is shot. Boom. And then all the deaths in this, by the way, are off screen. This movie's rated R, but it's only for language. But it says violence in language. And like, if you're going to have rated, if you're going to make this rated R, give us some gore. Everything is off screen. Everything. Eventually, it's down to just Batista, right? And he keeps telling them they have to do it. And, of course, Andrew doesn't believe him, right? So he says, Leonard says, that after he dies, he'll have minutes to make the decision. So he slits his own throat, off screen, of course, and it's down to those two. This is where we should have had an argument that resulted in a scuffle with the gun. Andrew gets it, or Eric gets it, shoots Andrew, and goes to get Gwen. And then they drive off, and they see the things subsiding in Western news, whatever. But that's not what happens. Instead, we get this tearful ending where Eric agrees to sacrifice himself. Andrew shoots him, and then he goes to get Gwen. They drive off. They go to a diner. They see everything is subsiding, and they realize that those guys were telling the truth. Now, on one hand, this is a wrap-up for Andrew as he finally realizes they were right. However, this guy has been a total fucking asshole the entire movie and deserved to die. Now, no one deserves to die. This is a movie. It's a movie. This character in a movie deserved to die because he was an asshole, denying this. And they kept telling him, the more you say no, the worse it's going to get. But every time, he's the one that always says no. Even when Eric starts to realize that things are going to truth, he's still saying, shut up, no, we're not going to do it. And things get worse and worse and worse. This is the kind of character in a movie that makes things worse and you want to see die. That would have been the perfect ending. But they don't do that. Instead, they try to make you sympathize with this guy. Oh, he lost his husband. Oh, looks like he was wrong the entire time. Look at that. I don't sympathize with him. I feel sorry for this little girl that's going to grow up with this asshole dad. Or maybe he'll be different now. They had to sacrifice his husband. And, I've never been around a gay couple with a kid, so I wouldn't know. But Daddy Eric and Daddy Andrew, I guess that would work. I don't know. I always thought one of them would still be called Mommy. I don't know. I'm not gay, so I don't know how that works. But then is that the same for women too? Mommy Rachel, Mommy Monica. I don't know why those names popped up, but they're not a lesbian. Whatever. Actually, you would. Mommy Carol, Mommy, whatever her name was, Susan. That'd be a perfect example. But yeah. Now, so I told you the movie's ending. I told you my ending. Now, what about the book's ending? The book's ending would have been a bold thing to film. I could see why Shyamalan changed it. I still think it's as good as my ending, but it's probably, I don't even know if it's better than the film's ending. It's just sort of a non-ending. to me. So, in the book, spoilers for the book, you haven't read it, go read it. There is a scuffle where Sabrina has a bit of a change of... There's a scuffle between Andrew and Leonard that causes the gun to fire off and shoot Wen, killing her. However, Leonard states that does not count as a sacrifice because she wasn't willing. And they still have to do it. After this happens, though, Sabrina has a change of heart and tries to help Andrew escape. And then sacrifices herself. Leonard also dies at some point, or is killed or something. And the two guys just walk off, accepting the fate of the world, not wanting to lose each other. Again, the ending of the book lends itself to the idea that it has to be a willing sacrifice for it to work. Something that the movie sort of does, like, Eric does willingly sacrifice himself, but I feel like it wouldn't actually need to be necessary, especially in my version of the ending where the right guy dies instead of Eric. It's not just because I like Jonathan Groff. He's a great actor. He comes off very sympathizing, but I don't sympathize with Andrew at all. He's been a total dick this entire movie since these guys have shown up. Reason to believe he's the reason why things get so bad, because he keeps saying no. Even when the other guy realizes that they're telling the truth. Even when he's saying this stuff for himself, he still refuses. And he's the one that survives. In my opinion, they picked the wrong character. Shyamalan. Is that the twist? The guy you think should die is the one that survives? Because that's... Well, if it is, that's a better twist than, it's in the modern world. In the village. But I'm going to give this a middle of the road. Because it had a good pacing. This is, an hour and 40 minutes. Good pacing. Some of the little flashbacks. Acting was good. Great on case of Batista, but that ending, just the wrong character died. And even if you wanted to change it from my ending a little bit and have him come to the realization once Leonard dies that this is what the truth is happening, and he decides to sacrifice himself, that he deserves it, that would still work. Because he would get that sense of, they were right this entire time, once things really start to hit the fan. Much like the scene with the diner that was put in there so he would realize that that they were telling the truth. He could come to the realization there and sacrifice himself. That would still work. As long as Andrew is the character that dies at the end, it would work. Either my ending or that kind of ending, sort of thing. But it gets a middle of the road for me. It wasn't bad. It's not going to be my worst of the year, which right now has 2 in it. 3. Sorry. 2 on physical media, 1 that's on streaming right now. I don't know if I'll buy. That's 3. I think I'm just going to do a top 5 worst and a top 10 best, because there's going to be more good ones than bad ones, I think. Because I don't outright search out bad movies unless I feel like I would need to talk about them. But, I need to talk about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, because of all the problems surrounding all the controversy and everything. I needed to talk about The Nun too, because I did the other Conjuring movies. I needed to talk about The Exorcist Believer because I did the other Exorcist movies. So, yeah. And I really thought this was going to be on that list, but to my shock, it's actually not that bad of a movie. So, what are your thoughts on Knock at the Cabin? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty. I'll see you in the next one.